family. So I'm glad to be here with you today, and it's a beautiful Sunday. We have some snow falling down, but we are so blessed. We are all so blessed. And in this moment, let's just take a little breath and know that we're blessed to be here. We've been invited to this space by the beautiful music that just brought us into this time, this moment, this sacred moment. And so we can just relax into our chairs and know that this is the life of God. That is the breath that's moving through us. The breath, the life of God within, everywhere present. It's outside of us. It's within us. It's beside us, below us, above us. For we know there is one life. And so as we allow this moment of silence, let us just be comfortable in the idea that we exist in the very heart of God. Yes, yes, yes. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me this morning and joining each other, because that's what we're doing. We're all coming together. And if you are new here today, we're just very happy to have you with us, because love is spoken here. And what that means is we stand under the shelter of each other. I'm here for you. You're here for me. We're here for each other. And in recognizing that, we get to be the best, the very best that we would choose to be under the shelter of each other, because we know we're supported, we're loved, we're recognized, and best of all, we're listened to. Yes, that is one of the blessings that we give each other, is when we face someone and they're speaking, and we're not thinking about what we're going to say, but we're hearing. And we're also experiencing the presence of that person. Because they are really, that's the most incredible sharing you can do, is share your life moment with someone else. You'll never have that moment again, nor will they. So it's an incredible sharing that we do with each other. So again, I welcome you here today, and we love to pray. So if you have something on your mind, something that's been heavy on your mind, or that you would like prayer support in, we have prayer request forms in the back. And all you need to do is just fill it out with whatever your prayer request is. You don't have to put your name on it. You don't have to put another person's name on it. But just let us know how we can support you this week, because Reverend Linda and I will be praying with you and for you this week as you say your own prayers, and we'll bring it all together as you see a new way of experiencing whatever the pain is, or whatever the worry or concern is that we're praying about. Because we know that where two or more are gathered, there is an energy to change, to lift up, to enlarge, and to engage other positive and wonderful things that can come out of our prayers. So we invite you to put a prayer request in if you would like. Let's see, now let's start with our first congregational song, and that means we'll have it up here on the thing. The thing. This is called The Thing. The words will be up there. And if you'd like to stand and join us, it's just a wonderful way to really come into this idea of there's one life and we share it.
Spirit's wisdom fills my soul. Spirit's wisdom fills my soul. Spirit's wisdom fills my soul. The love of God is in my heart. Spirit's healing makes me whole. Spirit's healing makes healing makes me whole. The power of God is in my heart. I am one with my Creator. I am filled with loving grace. I see God in everyone I meet. I feel love with each embrace. The power within me fills my soul. The power within me fills my soul. The power within me fills my soul. The love of God is in my heart. Well, I am one with my Creator. I am filled with a loving grace. I see God in everyone I meet. I share love with each embrace. The power within me fills my soul. The power within me fills my soul. The power within me fills my soul. The love of God is in my heart. The love of God is in my heart. The love of God is in my heart.
Ooh. Thank you, thank you. What a way to start us out. Thank you so much, Jamila, Audie, Dawn, Red Star, and Lilia. We are so blessed to have you here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, indeed. Oh, so before we do the blessing of the children, I have something I would like to read today about the gallant human. The gallant human expresses the fire in the soul, using heroic bravery in daring to be whole. High-spirited and dauntless, bold beyond compare, inventive and dashing, a spirit with a flair. Having balanced the fears with the lure of the unknown, the victories are counted as lessons learned and owned. This is the gallant human who lives without regret, a measure for humanity, a waking dream we can't forget. This is from Earth Medicine by Jamie Sams. And we are those gallant human beings. We are the expression of spirit in form. And so let us do what we do every Sunday. Let us take into our beingness the idea that we are the support, the love, the very foundation for our children to come forward into life as the magnificence that they were created to be. So let us tell them, as we do every Sunday, that we are here for them. So together we say, we see you, who you really are, made in the image and likeness of God. We cherish you, we support you, and we love you. Oh, so let's just rest for a moment in those words that we are speaking to the children of the world. For our prayers and our intentional good goes way beyond our family and our community, goes out into the world to all of the children of the world. That they might know that they are cherished, that they might experience being loved, and that as they move into life, as they grow, as they mature, as they take on that which they've chosen in life, they know that they are supported. For we are truly the shoulders that they will stand on. And so we know that each blessing that we send out, each prayer, every quiet moment that we listen to a child, that we see them, that we appreciate them, that we guide them and teach them and allow them to teach us. Every moment that we spend consciously being present is a blessing to the world. And as we face that truth, we know that we too are the children of the living God. Each one of us, child of spirit, magnificent child of spirit, loving and loved, precious, whole and holy. And however we decide to grace the world with the goodness that is within us is a blessing. We're magnificent expressions of God. And therefore we are power-filled expressions of God. And that which we desire to experience and express, that which we desire to lift up humanity, that which we desire to be a part of, that graces the lives of others, we have the ability to be and do. We are beings of spirit who choose to do from the grace, love, compassion, forgiveness, appreciation, gratitude, beauty, the wisdom that we come from. And so as we go out into our week, let us celebrate this powerful love that we are moving in the world, creating things, accepting things, changing things, uplifting things. Because all the time we carry within us that wisdom that says, ye who I see, you too are the children of God. We are part of one family. And though I may not agree with what you say or do or think or act, the way in which you act, I will never deny that we are part of the one family. And that brings forth a consciousness of commitment to being the best that we can be. In the circumstances we find ourselves in, with those who are before us, may we remember we are all children of the living God. God is with you. Peace be with you. May love be your expression and your experience. And together we say, and so it is.
Spirit's wisdom fills my soul. Spirit's wisdom fills my soul. Spirit's wisdom fills my soul. The love of God is in my heart.
The love of God is in our hearts. So last week I told you that we were in the middle of foundations class. And this next week we're going to be talking about oneness. And oneness begets forgiveness. And forgiveness begets harmony and peace. So I'm sure the people in the foundation class would testify that it is a life-changing experience. And I want to invite you the next time that we offer a foundational class that you consider joining us. So let's face it, life is not always fair. I know that my kids used to sing that song to me all the time, Mom, that's not fair. That's not fair. Fortunately, we didn't dwell there too long because our attention spans were kind of short, and so we got to move on to other things. But sometimes it's true, life does not seem fair. And sometimes it's difficult to move on to something more productive. I know that that's been the case for me at least once, maybe 200 times. And the time I spent being upset could have been spent so much more productively if I would just move on instead of, getting on that treadmill, that wheel, the mouse wheel that keep going around and around. If I would have put my attention on the people who cared about me and who wanted to spend time with me instead of giving whatever upset me the power over me. So I have this little book here. It's called Forgiveness Therapy, and it's published by the monks at St. Maynard Arch Abbey. And what number 10 says, you open it to any given page on any given day. And it says, to refuse to forgive is to continue to hurt yourself. Victimized once, your lack of forgiveness keeps you stuck as a victim, holding on to a victim's identity. Instead, claim the identity of one who forgives. So I have a story here. Actually, it was sent to me by Reverend Jane Beach, and it's a story about Ronald Cotton and Jennifer Thompson Canino. Jennifer picked Ronald out of the lineup as the fellow who raped her, only to learn 11 years later it wasn't him. She had made a mistake. In her mind, Ronald had been a monster, and for 365 days, for 11 years, she prayed that he would die. Discovering the truth filled her with shame and with guilt. She mistakenly put an innocent man in prison. Meanwhile, the guilty person was left to commit future crimes on women, and she found it almost impossible to forgive herself. What a load she was carrying. But Ronald said that forgiving Jennifer for picking him out of the lineup as her rapist took less time than many people would think. He knew she was a victim and she was hurting. And he said, I was hurting too. I missed my family, my girlfriend, and my freedom. But I knew who I was. I knew I hadn't done it. I was not that monster. I knew who did this to Jennifer, and he would have gone to his grave, leaving me to rot in prison without ever confessing what he had done. Letting go of my anger towards him was hard, but staying free in my heart was a choice that only I could make. So Jennifer asked Ron's forgiveness, and with all the mercy in the world, he told her, I forgave you a long time ago. At that moment, she began to heal. Ronald showed her how to let go of the pain. His forgiveness set her free that night. Without Ronald, she says she would be shackled to that moment in time, and it would own her. That unforgiveness would own her. She discovered that she could even forgive the man who raped her because she did not want to be a prisoner of her own hatred. Now Ronald and Jennifer are friends, and some people just don't understand that. But they were victims of the same injustice by the same man. And this gave them a common ground to stand on, and together they were able to heal through a shared experience. So when Sarah Montana was 22 years old, her brother and mother were killed on a home break-in. In a TED Talk, Sarah talks about her harrowing experience and shares her tremendous relief and her decision to really forgive those who had wronged her and to let go of the impact that they have on us. Sammy Rangel was assaulted and abused beginning at age 3. He tried to commit suicide at age 7. He joined a gang and fathered a child at age 11. He went to prison for the first time at the age of 17. And he made numerous trips to prison and spent time in the hole because he was not a model prisoner. Finally, he entered an intense rehab program where he had to talk about his life, and he realized that he needed to forgive even the people that he didn't feel deserved it. And he is a co-founder of a group called Life After Hate. So life has a lot of challenges for all of us, not to the extent of these folks, but from being mistreated, abused, wrongfully accused, wrongfully fired, hitting the brink of bankruptcy, lawsuits, divorce, disease, being homeless, the death of a loved one. The longer we play on this earth, the more opportunities we have to face a hardship where it isn't so easy to say those words, I forgive you, and mean it. Brother, sister, mother, father, colleague, neighbor, our relationship contain many people who have a potential to hurt us, very often in very small but ongoing ways. Sometimes in trying to be a good person, we brush these things aside and we think, I am not vindictive or an oversensitive person. These things don't bother me, but who am I lying to? They do bother me. They do bother me. They do because our egos are like magnets and resentments are attracted to them. What is the impact of holding on to these resentments? Does it allow us to stay victims, to stay in our story? Do we use it as an excuse? Ooh, that's a big one for me. As an excuse to stay stuck. Do we allow our anger and our resentment to hold us back in life? And does it keep us from experiencing peace? Does it keep us from being open and receptive? Does it keep us from living in the flow of life? Think about this. The lack of forgiveness can impact not only your mental, but your physical health as well. And it can impact our feeling of self-worth. Saying the words without doing the deeper work is like cleaning a moldy bathroom. It's not enough to clean off the surface. You need to get down and root out the mold and then clean the surface. Sometimes I have taken things too personally and have said to someone else, look how you made me feel. Well, that's really a misstatement because I'm a choice how I feel. I'm always at choice. And then I would share the story ad nauseum over and over again to anyone who would listen. Now, that's a normal reaction, but I've chosen to do things differently now, and we can learn to do that. We can learn to do things differently. We can understand that life is not necessarily perfect, but we can learn to heal, and we can learn to forgive, and we look at the lesson rather than the event. I spent a lot of time brooding. My mother was an alcoholic. She died at the age of 53, and I spent a lot of time brooding over what could have been. And suddenly it dawned on me, I had her in her life because she was a lesson for me. She was a lesson that I needed to learn. What an epiphany to understand that what I experienced was really something for my soul's growth. What an experience. In his book, Dr. Luskin's book, Forgive for Good, he points out that we often take things too personally. He says we should try to remember that nothing happens just to us. 1 in 200 people are burglarized. I'm not the only person whose house ever caught fire. He's not the only person who ever had his car stolen. And it is safe to assume that many of the people we know, many of us, have been hurt physically and emotionally. It's a common occurrence. And it's not necessarily a premeditated one. I don't think anybody's mother intentionally neglects them. Let's see. I woke up this morning today, I think I'm going to neglect my daughter. No, I don't think that that's what happens. I think we get so caught up in our stuff. Well, I get caught up in my stuff. And we don't focus on anything else. It impacts us personally. but the personal and the impersonal exist side by side. Many of us as adults are still blaming our mother or some other person for their problems today because something they experienced in their childhood. Instead of accepting responsibility for how they feel today, they are living in the land of ain't it awful. Ain't it awful what happened to me? I know one of those people who's in jail again. He told me once he's never been out of jail over 2 years at a time. When we blame someone else and instead of accepting the responsibility ourselves, we are giving our power to that person. We are giving our power to that person. Forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about us. Forgiveness is taking back your power and cutting the puppet strings, if you will. Take back your power. Forgiveness is not forgetting. You really don't forget anything. We may not recall it, but something in us remembers. And know that memory is selective, that what I remember of an event may not be exactly what really happened. It may not be the same as someone else remembers about the same event. It's just my perspective of it. It is not condoning. Whatever happened may have been hurtful, misguided, vicious, or unkind. Forgiveness is not about saying that that's okay. And it's okay to create effective boundaries. Forgiveness is not doing something good for that person that wronged you. It's doing something good for yourself. It's embracing yourself. It's in loving yourself. It's empowering yourself. Forgiveness is not becoming a martyr. Events that happen teach us how to love ourselves and how to create effective boundaries and how to refuse to accept demeaning and hurtful behaviors. You don't have to become somebody's friend, but you do need to become your own friend. You need to befriend yourself and choose what you allow to happen. Forgiveness is more like peeling back the layers of the onion to the truth of us. Forgiveness is one of the highest forms of self-love. Buddha said that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Are you willing to get unstuck and get out of the quicksand? Are you willing to free yourself and get on with your life? No longer tethered to the past? Cutting those puppet strings? Our lives are like these PowerPoint slides. Every experience in our life gets projected. And life asks us constantly, can you forgive me? And if we say no, that slide gets projected again and again and again. And when we say yes, that slide gets deleted and we can move on. We're done with it. So when we are children, some of us were humiliated or witnessed humiliation by a parent or a caregiver or a bullier. And we carry that emotional energy in our body, becoming a benchmark for the way that we deal with others. We put up this wall because I'm not going to let somebody else hurt me. We don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable. We also don't allow ourselves to be truly loved. We carry that emotional energy and we replay it over and over. It may even fester as dis-ease within our bodies. These repeated negative attitudes shape our way of thinking and feeling and being. Different sets of circumstances, different situation, different players, same old crappy outcome. We get stuck repeating the same pattern because it's familiar. It's dealing with the devil we know rather than the one that we don't know. And we have a blockage in our energy flow. Aristotle, now think about this, 350 BC, Aristotle says, when we reach adulthood, we are obligated to look back at those early lessons, those habits we developed, and determine if they serve us or if they are habits that do not serve us. And then we must ask ourselves, is this the kind of person that I want to be? Our adult conception of the world comes from within, and it's self-directed. Do I want to continue to be bound to my past and captive up to my future? Am I willing to do some soul searching that will ultimately free me? And once I embrace these questions, there is only one way to do it, and that's forgiveness. It's not something that just happens. Forgiveness is not something that just happens. It's a choice that we make, a shift of perception. We open our minds to a higher way of thinking and our hearts to being open and forgiving and receiving love, open and receiving good of all kinds. I am open and receptive to all the good that God has in store for me. I know I have a few things in my past to forgive, and many of those people are dead or unaware that I think they need to be forgiven, that I have these feelings about them, large or small, valid or not. And I realize that's not a good way to live my life, because you know what? They don't know, and they don't even care. They don't even care. But I must forgive them to free myself. I must. The first act in forgiveness is to acknowledge the experience, to acknowledge the fact, that feeling of hurt or pain or fear that may have arisen from that experience. Be compassionate with yourself. Don't blame yourself. Be compassionate as you move through this discovery process. Did I learn anything from it? Oh man, I learned a lot. And I look for the blessing in it, because there's a blessing in it. It moved me forward in a new direction. It helped me make choices for my highest good. It helped me become more spiritually aware. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It does not erase the past. The past is the past. What it's doing is doing a spring cleaning of your psyche and getting rid of that stuff that no longer serves you, and making room for the good that God has in store for you. Making room for all the good that is ours. I'm open and receptive to all the good God has in store for me. I'm giving myself the gift of life. Give yourself the gift of life. And we get to forgive everyone for not living up to our expectations. Remember this, they don't even probably know what our expectations are, and here we are mad at them because they're not living up to them. It's the truth of us, isn't it? So I get to forgive everybody. My ex-spouse, my current spouse, my parents, my children, my teachers. We get to forgive everybody. And most particularly, I get to forgive myself, and you get to forgive yourself for anything that you assumed was not the highest and best, because there was a lesson in it. There's always a lesson in it. Wayne Dyer says in Manifest Your Destiny, forgiveness means that you fill yourself with love, and you radiate that love outward, and you refuse to hang on to the venom or the hatred that was engendered by the behaviors that caused the wounds. Forgiveness is a spiritual act of love for yourself, and it sends a message to everyone, including yourself. You are an object of love, and that is what you are going to impart. You are an object of love. Dr. Luskin says that forgiveness is the beginning of a new chapter, not the end of the story. So we get to start with this clean page and write a whole new chapter. It is a chapter where we get to connect and reconnect with our positive intentions. Ernest Holmes says, when we forgive, holding no condemnation, judging no one, then our consciousness becomes a mirror, reflecting that greater consciousness, which is the mind of God. Give yourself the gift of life. Forgive yourself. Forgive all those you believe have injured you. As Jesus, our way shower, said, Forgive them, Father. They know not what they do. So your homework for this next week is to do a little personal inventory and make a mental list of things that you are going to be forgiving. Forgive yourself, forgive the other. Open your heart and your mind for all the good that God has in store for you. So please join me in prayer. Sweet, sweet Spirit, Father, Mother, God, that whole and holy presence in which we live and breathe and have our being. It is in that essence that we breathe in a powerful presence of Spirit, that it vibrates in every cell and fiber of our being. I call that good and very good. I am one with that whole and holy essence. If that is true for me, that is true for all. One with the one with love, one with peace, one with joy, one with health and wholeness, one with peace. So as I speak my word, I know that we move through this ensuing week, opening our hearts and minds with love to embrace all there is, letting go of what no longer serves us, forgiving all that need to be forgiven, including ourselves, embracing ourselves, loving ourselves, and honoring ourselves. Self-love. I am so grateful. I'm grateful for the love of God that vibrates within us. I am grateful for the love within this community. I am grateful for the opportunity we have to come together and to share and to love one another. I simply release this word now to the perfect working of the perfect law that always, always, and only says yes. Please join me in affirming, and so it is. Amen.
Love is but a song we sing, fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, or make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, and you may not know why. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Some may come and some may go, we will surely pass. When the ones that left us here returns to us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. If you hear this song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now, right now, right now.
That was great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, now it's time for us to do our spiritual giving. And so I'd like to ask you to just take into your mind right now that we are all blessed to live in this magnificent universe, sitting next to another one of God's incredibly exquisite beings, creations. And so we come together to share our love, our time, our treasure, and our talents because we can and we choose to. So let us say our prayer of giving, spiritual giving and receiving, because there is no giving without receiving. There is no receiving without giving, for it's all part of the whole. So together we say, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I do this from the gratitude of my heart. So will our ushers please come forward? Go ahead. And we are so grateful to be supported in this community. Thank you to the folks who are here. Thank you to everyone online who supports us. We are very, very grateful because we so believe in this teaching. We so believe that we, each one of us, have within us the ability to be the most magnificent version of self that we would choose. So thank you for your support. Thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you again next week and being with you, because we know that together we are making changes so that we live in a world that's better, that's greater for everyone. Not because God did not create in perfection, but because we as human beings over the eons of time have run amok occasionally, created things that need to be enhanced and changed and let go of. So it's kind of like that forgiveness Reverend Linda was just talking about. Forgiveness is just letting go of, giving it up. We don't have to make it hard. We don't have to make it so difficult for us. It's like she said, giving it up. Give up our pain. Do you know that we'll be perfectly fine without our pain? Yeah, let us embrace that idea. So with that, I thank you for thanks everyone for joining us today, knowing that we are one community and we are one village. We are one home where all are welcome. And so now we have our announcements, and we will be doing Dances of Universal Peace immediately following service.